Well, it's that time of year where the weather can make getting to and from places a bit more difficult. This afternoon, we have Bob joining us from AAA to talk about some of the ways that we can stay safe on the roads when they could be a bit dicey. We had to deal with it yesterday, Bob. Probably going to have to deal with it for the next couple of days. So what would you say are your top tips for being out on the roads when they're icy or snowy or anything really that could make a drive slippery?
That's a great question. I think, first and foremost, prepare yourself, right? Make sure that you are ready if something does happen on the roadway. And by that, I mean, make sure that you have extra clothing in the car, a blanket, a safety kit, something to be able to give you traction, some road salt, kitty litter, something of that nature. Little shovel if you can, and then the old trick of the candle. If you, car stalls or something like that, believe it or not, a candle will provide you enough heat to be comfortable, just comfortable.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never, so let me give you a warning. I moved here from Las Vegas, so never dealt with snow my entire life until I moved to the Midwest. So learning all of these tips was very new to me all the way until, maybe last year. So
sure.
The candle trick is an interesting one. When we're in our driveways or maybe in the neighborhoods, that's usually where I feel like we tend to see things not be plowed as quickly as those major roads. So when we're in that area, what are some things we need to look out for, some tips while we're driving or if we fishtail around?
Basically there, I think first and foremost, pay attention, right? Understand what's coming up ahead of you and then prepare for that, right? So either, maybe it's a matter of slowing down and you'll get through things a little bit easier. Try to make sure that you're in control of the steering, Try not to, in some cases, if you're on ice, you have to be very careful about when you brake, right? If you see an ice patch coming up, slow down before you get to it. Or, don't brake on it because you're going to send yourself into a skid. So things like that are things to pay attention for when you're coming up to those areas.
Let's talk about when we're on the interstate or any state routes or anything that usually has higher traffic, people going a little bit faster than normal. What are some things we need to do during icy roads in that time?
Always, I think first and foremost, go the speed and kind of watch the traffic, right? The traffic's going to give you a good signal about what's going on. So if they're slowing down, slow down. Don't try to pass them. And also, make sure too that before you take that trek, your car is ready. There's nothing more important than that good old car maintenance. And we can talk about some of those things if you'd like.
Yeah, let's talk about some of them. I would say probably one of them is make sure your gas tank is full, in case anything were to happen, right?
Absolutely. So not only your gas tank, but in some cases your battery, right, for the EV vehicles, right? So make sure that you have a full charge or make sure you're full of fuel. And then secondly, always check your tires, And if that low tire light comes on in the car, take it in and get the right air pressure put in there. That will help you maintain traction of the vehicle. Also, it's good before wintertime to have or even now, have your vehicle checked. Check the belts, the hoses, your lights, make sure they're all working. Turn signals, wiper blades, all of those things are very important when you're hitting the roadway.
Say, hopefully it doesn't happen to any of us, but say one of us ends up, sliding off or hitting a ditch or something like that. What are the steps and recommendations of doing and calling for help, especially when, you want help as fast as possible because it's cold out as well?
Exactly. Well, obviously my first recommendation would be to call AAA and we'll be out there to help you. Make sure that you have those numbers handy, though, the emergency numbers in your phone. Make sure, too, that if you are on the roadway or especially on the expressways, do not exit on the driver's side of the vehicle because you're exiting the vehicle into traffic. And then that's where that kit that you hopefully have with you comes in handy, right? So maybe you should have flares in there perhaps or something of that nature. Again, exiting from the passenger side of the vehicle place those several feet from the car so that people know that you're ahead. And then, of course, the flashing lights, make sure you turn on your lights and so forth. But call for help as soon as you can. And understand, too, that there could be delays. A lot of this happens during this weather, and so there may be some delays in help getting to you.
Bob, thank you so much for joining us. Very important information, especially as we head into our alert days over the next 2 days.
Well, thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. Caylee.